Following up off that last section, this is one that I started noticing when I was talking with superfan Alan Russell, because we have daily conversations about snowboarding, which, by the way, he also wants to know your pant size.
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. Whatever.
You don't need my pant size. I don't lotion, so my skin's not great. Just remember that, all right?
He keeps saying something about turning you into a codpiece. Whatever. Still a super fan. But he and I have noticed that, like, one of the big things is, like, a lot of online stores already have their 2020 product put up for pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
And some of our local shops here have already got stuff in, and they're like, we can't put it on our website, and we can't promote it on social media till August 15th. August 15th for the Northern Hemisphere is probably going to be go time for sales. So that's why I'm choosing that date to drop all the reviews. But this is something that I've noticed, and I kind of want to talk about. Online shops are already taking pre-order for 2020 gear or having it on their websites. Local shops are already getting in shipments of 2020 gear. Is this a sign that companies are trying to be preemptive about Chinese tariffs, or is this a sign that we're going to get away from a snowboarding off-season and go into a year-round cycle of selling? You're still in retail, so that's why I thought this question would be really interesting for you, because I'm a little more detached from it, but I have to just answer questions year-round.
I've yet to hear from anybody that the tariffs have really affected snowboarding all that much. A lot of it is targeted at just flat out bigger industries. I know the bike industries had it hit them pretty hard, and that part of that is all the metal.
Well, it's there. But, like, SIA is fighting for it, and if it does, it would be snowboard bindings, snowboard boots, hard goods, soft goods. It's there. It hasn't been enacted yet, and they're trying to rally across it because it would be about a 25% increase across the board on everything.
Yeah, and the hard thing is even if your board's not made in China, it's going to affect the whole industry one way or another.
Well, all inserts pretty much come from China.
Yeah.
Taiwanese
a lot
steel.
of the raw materials comes from there. So it's going to affect everybody. So possibly it could be part due to that, but I think a lot of it also has to do with just the fact that last season was so incredibly good. At least in our territory, it certainly was. It was just everybody sold out of everything. So, there was money to be used. So I think a lot of people were able to get ahead of their manufacturing. And you also see brands like, Capita had issues as far as shipping went the last 2 years, really. So I basically expected them to be early this year, if not at the very worst on time, because the last 2 years they've had issues. And you have issues 3 years in a row with your shipping, you start to lose accounts. So
true.
Capita, I definitely expected it.
But like Ride has already got stuff in. K2, Jones, yes. Which those guys aren't even affected by China because they're out of Dubai.
Yeah.
But I think we're going away from that selling cycle that we had and going more towards a year run. Which what I think will happen is we'll start seeing carryover graphics more and more. We're starting to see it.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see more carryover graphics. And that way they can keep the prices higher instead of having an off season, so it keeps the margins up, which would help shops in the long run, and it will help brands in the long run versus like, well, the new one's out, we got to discount this one freaking 80%, right in September. You see the 10 to 20% discount around Black Friday for that sale, then it goes back up. Then there's the after Christmas sale. Then there's the spring sale, then there's the summer sale, and then you see the fall sale, and by then it has trickled down to about anywhere between 60 to 80% off on that product, all because it got a new graphic, even if it didn't get an overhaul in any technology.
Right.
And I think we're going to be getting away from a cyclical selling period where it's like, this is the new, this is it. We're going to get to the point where we see more carryover, where we see people just being like, this is it, this is what you get. I also think we're going to see companies drop down the quantities that they make so that it makes everything more limited run so it does sell out. Talking with Ben Schwitz over at Telos, they sold through 3 runs of backslashes with no marketing other than my one review. So, and he said, he's like, we thought we'd sell out of the bigger size. We didn't. We sold out of the smaller size 3 times.
Yeah.
So 3 different production runs to keep up with the demand. But they have their own factory. So
and that's kind of one of the things that I'm wondering, if that's what's going on, which scares me a little bit, because if they don't take the stance of lower quantities, what worries me is they're trying to get early on production now so that they can do mid-year production on the current year. And the thing that worries me about that is, I mean, we had, after the 2008 Olympics, we had an overstock from a few different brands. Massive overstock, because they expected this massive explosion of interest in snowboarding, and then it didn't happen, partly because of the American recession, all that other nonsense.
Well, there's a recession. There's a couple bad winners in there.
A couple bad winners, the recession. Yeah, but so, I mean, there was that time where you could get a ride buckshot for $100.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know, like, Vail had an overstock out of them. I mean, they had probably a 300 to 400 of each size just sitting in a warehouse because they bought that many of them.
No, I remember when I worked at your shop, we were buying 390 Bosses and 390s and one other binding from Rome for anywhere between like $16 to $22 for a pair of bindings.
Yeah. And
then we were blowing them out at $99 for a binding that was like $219 to $250, somewhere in there. And the only reason I know that they changed what they claimed the cost was on them, because I looked it up one time and it was like the next day it was higher, and I was like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
But
so that's the only thing that I worry about, is if they're not paying attention to the quantities they're doing, that we're going to end up in that situation again, because we had such a good last couple of years as far as selling. Like, we've increased at our shop a fair amount over the last 2 years, and I just don't want to see that overproduction again.
Right.
That's the only thing that worries me about seeing this early of ship dates, is that means that they've already got it done, and so they've got now until December that they could be like, all right, well, we had a really good early season, and like Thanksgiving time sale, let's produce more and ship more. Because I know we did run into issues last year where we had a hard time finding stuff to store with towards the end of the year.
Yeah, because you couldn't get like a closeout or anything, or that mid-season drop. But more than
I would rather run out of stuff and not have that much at the end of the season than have closeout buys. Closeout buys hurt the industry.
Yeah, because then you're just discounting everything more and more. I think if you're in a smart shop, you understand, like, you do your initial buy, and then you always have a second buy that
you have an open to buy for, November, December. I just don't want the brands to intentionally overproduce in anticipation of that to the degree that they used to. A little overproduction here and there, it makes sense for sure, because you're going to be able to sell it at a relatively decent price. But
we don't want to see.
I don't want specific closeout production anymore.
Well, we don't want to see like that time that Burton ended up in Costco in California,
right?
And you're seeing other brands like at Shop and Saves and shit, like they were just getting liquidated to bargain discount.
Yeah.
People were backdooring, blowing out their inventory and stuff because they'd overbought and whatnot. And I think that's the big thing, is like you said, underproduction, higher demand, sell out. It's better to be empty going out of the season than to be so stocked full you're like, oh my god, we're going to have to blow these out at 80% off in the fall. We're making like $10 on a snowboard.
Yeah, and I've also realized that it's forcing people, the good thing about not having any last year's stock is it's forcing people to actually give a shit about what they buy.
They're
having to be concerned about what they're actually buying, because they're like, well, if I'm going to have to spend $400 to $500 on a board, I want to make sure it's the actual board that I should be on, instead of just being like, well, I don't know, it's only $150. If I hate it, it's not a big deal. I'll get something new next year.
Yeah, that, and there was also that whole round of people that were like, why would I buy it at the start of the season when I know that I could just do it? Which was cool to see with like the Orcas selling for $1,600 to $1,800 on eBay. Like that was just insane.
That was crazy.
Like,
I've never seen. It's been at least a long, long time since.
I've never seen boards being used selling for that much. I've seen them being used and sold for exactly or a little bit more than what people paid for them. Like I saw that with the Lumberjack in the first year one, because that was such a limited run. Because I think it was only like 300 boards or something. Might have even been less than that. Might have been like 250.
The only other boards I can think of that have done that were some of the Burton Family Tree stuff.
Family Tree.
A couple of years later, people were like, I really, really want one of those, and they only made it for 1 year. So, stuff like Cheetahs, Carn Artists, Cloud Splitters, like I've seen those go for a fair amount of money, even 5-6 years down the road.
Oh, like the Split Fish with camber and stuff.
Yeah, some stuff like that, but nothing that was just a standard production board. I've never seen like that before. So
no,
it's gonna be real interesting to see how fast we sell those out. Because right now, our fastest selling board has been Warpig the last 2 years in a row. So
And that board had a lot of hype in it,
Yeah.
but it's the way Ride
It's gonna
and
go
K2
working
do
for
stuff.
sure.
They tend to they've been guilty of overproduction.
Oh yeah, they're probably Burton and Ride were probably my worst overproductions that I've dealt with at my shops.
So when I was there, it was Mervin and
Yeah.
Rome were the two worst.
Rome, we definitely tend to like whenever we do get closeout buys the last 4 years, it's always been Rome. So, but I think they finally got that under control. Now that they're under Nidecker Brothers, they don't tend to do
this
that, so.
and then like starting for the 2021 season, all their stuff will be made at the exact same factory, along with Jones, Nidecker.
Yeah, so they won't be overproducing there. So if you've been used to getting Rome closeouts, if your shop does tend to do that, then that's not going to be there for very long.
No, I think we're going to see a little tightening of the ship on some stuff, which will be really good in the long run, and it'll drive up.
It just devalues the brand that does it, because then you think like, oh, like K2's the brand I can go get a $150 board, or
then you turn into
Rome's
like
the brand I can go get a $100 artifact for.
Yeah, you turn into like Tech 9 and those subpar brands.
Yeah. So not having that closeout buys is better for the brands, it's better for the industry, it's better for the shops. Like it's just better. So,
it's 100% better. So, but I don't think. I'm really curious if we will get hit with those tariffs or not. I honestly don't think we will. I think
it's too small of a market. I think if it does get hit, it won't be intentional. It won't be like they were targeting the winter markets. It'll just be that they targeted something else, and it happens.
Well,
to be that
from what I've been reading, the Trump administration is like, we're losing all these jobs, and I was like, dude, we haven't made winter wear here in years. And I'm like, oh my god, did someone from Guild Center Never Summer go talk to the president and be like, American jobs, blah blah blah? And it's like, oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? Your top sheets are made in Austria, your base is made in Germany, your fucking inserts are China, your steel on your edges is Taiwan, and your cores are from Canada. What the fuck about American made is that? It's American assembled.
Yeah, American assembled.
Let's call it for what it really is. But it's not going to bring those manufacturing jobs back.
There's no snow manufacturing to be done in the U.S. unless you want to start paying $1,600 for a regular snowboard.
I mean, you got your Mervins, you got your Never Summers, you got your Marhars. You got like the smaller brands and stuff, but you're not going to see big mass-produced. K2 is not going to fire Vashon Island back up.
No, they're not.
I mean,
they've talked about it, but
even if they did, they would just import all their laborers from China and bring the factory over with them. And you know what would happen with that, don't you? All those Chinese suddenly having free internet, they're going to have really strong right arms or left arms. They're going to be like, couldn't go to work, jerking off too much free porn. Oh my god! Ah! They're not going to know what to do. They're going to be like, wait, what? Like, they're going to show up to work and there's going to be a fence around it. And they're like, are we caged here? And they're like, no, there's entrances. You can leave. And they're like, what? Huh? What?
Yeah, and then again, that doesn't even solve the issue of American manufacturing because then we just brought over all the laborers anyways.
Yeah, assembled by Chinese people in America.
It's made on U.S. soil, but doesn't even give anybody jobs.
No, we should.
So, yep.
Yeah, it's just dumb on that part.
So I would like to see it move to a year-round cycle, but it's
got to be done right.
Yeah, it would have to be done right, and the history points towards overproduction, unfortunately, and I just really hope that's not what it is.
Overproduction, but see, I think if they did go year-round, if they're smart, they just keep underproducing, but then they can cut their costs by not having to hire a new graphics guy and redo graphics, and if they don't change any of the construction materials or change any of the internals.
Yeah, two-year product I think is huge. They need to start rolling into two-year product. I mean, that's what, Rosinol, our favorite snowboard brand that makes skis, that's what they do on their ski side. Is they have basically two ski lines, and for the majority of the public,
if you look at like the
XV,
the Sushi, and stuff like that, they keep that graphic.
Yeah,
and it makes sense. Like, in all honesty, they could probably get away with like some of their boards just going to a very simple graphic. And just doing it. Personally, I think they just need to bring back the big cock and just put it on there. Big old rooster. Just poof, there you go. Cocks everywhere, just all over their boards.
Yeah, I mean, in your throwaway boards, your $350, $400 jib sticks, maybe refresh the graphic every year on those boards. But for your POW stuff, the stuff that you expect your customer to keep for a number of years, then you don't need to redo graphics.
Sashimi, Sushi, the One, and Crypto.
Yep.
And for the ladies, like the Diva and maybe not the Frenemy, but the Justice. I think it's Justice. One of those. You keep the graphics the same. carried over. Same thing with bindings. Like, binding companies could get away with just making black bindings.
Oh, yeah.
Just black bindings.
Yeah, you don't have
you
to
do a
change
white
the
binding, you do a black binding, and you don't change the graphic on it.
Right.
Like, just...
You easily do bindings with multiple year carryovers. Yeah.
I mean,
so easy.
Come on, how many years have I gotten out of my K2 Indy formula combos? Like,
Yeah.
they're starting to turn chalky white.
Right.
Like, that's a sign of overuse.
Yeah, and you can literally have a binding that, if they don't change anything and just make it black, and then the next year it's also black, and there's absolutely nothing different, but I have to put it on sale because the tag says it was last year's.
Yeah, boots are the same thing. Like,
yeah,
you keep
boots
the colorways,
sure.
and then if you wanted to, add a new colorway for that year, and then you can just chart and
Yeah.
be like limited edition certain year colorway.
Exactly.
Boom, there you go, and
Yeah.
rotate it out.
Yeah, and you could do, and if you want to do do the same thing with bindings too, where you have your black, you have your white, and you have maybe one other color, and then if you want to do it, you do a limited run special color one.
Yeah, it's kind of
If you
like
wanna have
how
something
Union
flashy
does
and
those
The
team,
custom house stuff.
the custom house and the team
Yeah.
forces and stuff like
Yep.
that. The team binding that they
Mhm.
drop out, that they make like 150 or 200 pairs or something. Yeah, so it makes it in demand, and then there you go. It's a whole thing. Like, I think if they would start thinking more creatively towards a solution, it would strengthen snowboarding as a whole. It would healthen the industry. And is healthen even a word?
I don't think so.
Me either. I just made that up. But it would do all that stuff to benefit everyone as a whole, and then the consumer would benefit from a stronger brand presence. Plus, it would make carryover marketing easier. You wouldn't have to be like, oh God, we got to go get this stuff pre-production, send it out to the review guys to get it out, even though the graphics changed. Like, that's the big thing that kills me, is like, the boards haven't changed, and yet everyone's like, you got to go ride it. I was like, it's just a fucking new graphic. It's nothing fucking different.
Mm-hmm.
Or my favorite is when they rename technology, but it's the exact same stuff, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's literally the exact same fiberglass with a new name.
Yeah. Yeah. Or how many different names has Burton's Edge Tech been through?
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's fucking...
And it doesn't even do anything.
My favorite is all the different names for Magnatraction.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one wants to pay the licensing. Serrated Edge, Quadro Grip Technology, Hexadecimal Octagrab. And you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? It's all Magnatraction. It's all just fucking Magnatraction.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it fucking is. So, whatever. Let's move on to another topic.
Let's.